It is 5:01. I will call the meeting to order. And we have a very large agenda today, so we will try to be as efficient as possible with everything. So we will start with recognition of individuals. So
excuse me, Kim. Did Jill pass along a message that I wanted to add a report to the list of reports?
She had put that on there. We can see when we get to other at the bottom. Did you look at the agenda today? We have.
It's an additional report, not an item for decision or anything.
What committee is it?
Yeah.
It's a report on the School Board Association meeting that happened last week.
Right. You wanted to make a statement, though. I just wanted to
speak for 3 or 4 minutes about something that was important today.
Well, let's see where because we have.
Yeah, we can get it on the next one.
Yeah. We have items up to O on the new items list. So
what is up to O?
On the new business, we have letters all the way up to O.
It's usually up to some part of a wrap.
I know. So we will hopefully we can get to it soon, and we will see where we go. So we'll start with recognition of individuals. So we all just introduce yourselves quickly. And
my name is April Barkham from Early Education Services. I'm the family support specialist there for the center.
I'm Deb Rancourt. I work with Early Education Services, and I have the Center for Pre-K in Oak Grove and Dales Bethesda.
Hi, I'm Maureen Young. I'm the Child Development Manager for Early Education Services. I oversee curriculum, assessment, mental health services, and disability services for the agency.
Hi, I'm Mariah Carney. I'm a parent, and I'm also the director for Westby Nursery School.
I'm Janice Stockman, the Early Childhood Coordinator for Wyndham Southeast.
Great. Yes, and I believe you will be talking shortly. So, all right. So if we could get a motion about the warrants and the minutes from the last meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes for September 5th, 17th, and 25th, and the warrants as listed.
Do we have a second? Any discussion or changes on anything? Any questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right.
All right, we're already on the second page.
Yeah, I know. All right. So committee reports. Policy Council.
Incorporate that into the...
We can link into the EES presentation.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right. Energy Committee.
Not meeting yet.
Okay. Alternative Governance.
No new news.
Okay. Finance, I know we had a meeting, and I apologize, I don't have my notes up. We did not discuss, I know one of the ongoing questions is how we're going to split up, finance into an executive committee. We did not discuss that at this past meeting, so because we had a short period of time before the SU meeting, so that I do not have an update for you on that. But I know at the SU meeting that the Finance Committee was given the authorization to finish the next process of the superintendent review and all of that. So that it has moved to the Finance Committee, and we have not had a meeting yet on that. Once we do, I will update everybody about it. And diversity.
We had our first meeting of the year, and the theme for Diversity Day this year is Voices of the People, so looking at primary sources, in particular of the types of people whose story has not been told in mainstream history reporting and teaching. So the committee is going to each take a chapter of the Howard Zinn book, Voices of the People, that is just all primary source documents, and read it, and we'll discuss it at each of our meetings about how that's relevant to stuff that could be brought into the classrooms and tied into current events. or just today's world, not necessarily events. And I feel like there was something else that I was going to say about that.
Expanding the position to that.
Well, that was at our WSESU meeting. We looked at and voted to approve the moving of that diversity coordinator to the SU level and adding the halftime role as well, so that there is an official support for all the elementary schools. So that's going to be something that we can all draw on going forward, but it's not going to be until the following school year.
Perfect. All right. Anything else?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry for just one other thing. It's, there is going to be a fall showcase for WSESU on November 14th at 5:30 at BAMS in the multipurpose room. And it's not on a specific theme, but they're inviting kids from all schools in the SU to come and perform something or share something that they've worked on or written. And the idea of it is kind of like Mix It Up Day. So it's not like a focus on learning topics about diversity. It's more like let's all meet people that we don't usually see and sort of make those cross-school and cross-community relationships.
Perfect.
What's the date of that, Robin?
November 14th, 5:30 to 7:30 at BAMS.
Oh, right. So now, do we want to do all of the administrative reports or do the EES report first with our
I
guests?
think we promised the ES report would be first.
Yes. All right, then we will, if the other administrators do not mind, we will move to EES report.
And we are expecting one more presenter.
Okay.
But I'm just going to bump you all up in order. In front of you, I printed out the most recent program information report, the data results that were submitted on August 31st. This is usually information that we talk about when we're preparing for our school information night, but it's hot off the press, and I thought it might be great to have in your hand as you listen to some of the presentations that you're about to hear. The yellow packet is the Early Head Start data information report, and the green packet is the Head Start program information report. This is something that all Head Start and Early Head Start programs in the country are required to complete on August 31st and submit. The information is collated, it's put together and given to our federal legislators, and it's used periodically throughout the year for many purposes. It can be reported state by state, it can be reported program by program, or it can be reported nationally. So you have our own local version. I'm going to ask that you hold questions until the end if you're meandering through this and something pops out at you, because I promised my team that they could be first and get on with their evening. So I think what we'll do is start with Family Services, and April and Deb are going to...
Grace, you want to be, stand, sit, anywhere?
Maybe we should be the ones to
Yes.
move a little bit.
Just as long as you project, I think you're fine where you are.
Okay, but
Do stand up, please.
so we're gonna,
So Deb's going to be on us.
she's gonna be there, okay. Maybe like 2 minutes to restart.
Hit the help button.
Oh, I just had to restart my computer. It'll just be a minute. So again, my name is April Barcom, and I was asked to come today to speak to the family support service that EES offers. I am a center-based FSS, and I have the Bird's Nest in ITC, which is the Infant Toddler Center that we have up at the high school. We have 3 center-based family support specialists, myself, Deb Rancourt, and then we have a Westminster site. Mary Ellen is up there. We have a Head Start, an early Head Start up there, and Deb, you have?
I have the pre-K at Oak Grove, and I have an early Head Start classroom, and I have 3 Head Start classrooms at Canal Street.
Part of what we do with families is help, our first meeting with families is getting them into the center and helping with transitions. We help make sure children have primary care physicians as well as their family. We help parents get dental health if needed, children as well. We do resource and referral, parenting classes. We do parent committee meetings. We do parenting support, health, safety, information, and child development. How we do some of this stuff is we do a lot of goal setting with families. This time of year, we're all starting to meet with families and to sit down and do a family's needs assessment with them. And usually what happens from that is we find out what the family's strengths are, what they need in their life. Part of that usually comes resources and referrals, such as housing and
Mental health.
Parenting support. We go through health and safety checklists for their homes. Some parents just sometimes need an ear, and we talk to them about basically anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
even if they need a dentist, where they can go to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have a doctor, we'll list the doctors and we'll help them get on the phone and make those appointments. And we even transport sometimes if the family does not have that vehicle to get there. So,
yeah. Part of our parent committee meetings is a huge part that we try to push with families to get parents involved in our school and their child's school. From that, we have policy council representatives come from that, and this October actually we'll be doing some voting. Hopefully we get some new members on our policy council. So we have a lot of new families this year. A lot of new babies came in. Some big kids came in. So the other part is we do home visiting. So we have home-based services, and we have 4 home visitors, and they carry a caseload of 10 apiece. And these guys go out into the home, and they work with families doing child development. They have a curriculum. They also do health, safety, nutrition with families. A lot of community resource and referrals come out of those home visits weekly. They do socializations to bring families out into the community. They also do parent committee meetings to try to get representatives for our policy council. We have pregnant moms And we have lots of support for them, and we even have a lactation counselor on site with us that even centers can access if we have new moms that are maybe going back to work and need a little help with that. We also have housing assistance. So this year we are doing the coordinated entry assessment application that we collaborate with Groundworks and CIS to help families who are looking for housing. This has been a really great thing for a lot of families this year because it's an umbrella. It's one application, and it opens up housing for, I guess, all kinds of vouchers are out there, more than I can sit
Throughout
here
the community.
and list. Yeah.
All the housing.
We partnership with a lot of other agencies. The Department of Children and Families, work well with them. Groundworks, like I said. They also do parenting classes, and one is going on right now. We have Harmony in the Home going on right now. We have one coming up that you'll be doing.
Yep, I'll be doing one, Nurturing Parents will be coming up, a 14-week class for parents in the community as well as in-house.
Another part of our services, we have 2 Reach Up case managers. What Reach Up is it's an agency that helps supplement income for families and also help parents get job placements, help them with financial guidance. I don't know how many they see every week, but it's been nice having them housed with us. We share a lot of clients. They help find childcare, so they go into centers where we are. What's been really nice about the family service is that we all work together for these families and trying to make sure that they have what they need. We celebrate their strengths. Anything else?
And we have a family that we have been working with for a very long time now. She has 6 children that have gone through our center. And she has been extremely supportive as a parent, and we have been working with her goals for so long that now that she is actually one of our employees.
Yes.
So she's
become what?
one of our employees.
She's gone through Reach Up. She's been, has had home visitors. Her children are now in our centers. And now she is part of our team, and we're really happy to have her.
That's one of our success stories, and we have many.
Yeah. So we like to just surround families and help them.
And that's it.
Thank you. So now I'm going to ask Maureen to do her presentation on education, mental health, health, and disabilities.
Yes, hi everybody. So in my role as the Child Development Manager at EES, I oversee education, which would be curriculum and assessment. I also oversee mental health and behavior support services and oversee disability services. Although we're not the providers, we have ongoing collaborations and partners, and I need to make sure that we're meeting performance standards in all of those areas. So what I thought I would do this evening was just to give you a couple of highlights from the previous program year. And I do have our child assessment data. What we did was a comparative report between fall last year and spring, this past spring. So I'm going to pass these around so that you can take a look at those. And while you're passing those around, I'll just start with some highlights so I don't go over time, because I tend to be a talker. So currently we have 15 classrooms in our program. 6, and these are center-based classrooms. We have 6 pre-K classrooms, including our new Oak Grove partnership that just completed its first full year, and 9 infant toddler classrooms. So that's a total of 15, and making sure that we're meeting performance standards in those classrooms, as well as NAEYC standards. All of our preschool classrooms are NAEYC accredited. 12 of our out of 15 classrooms have current NAEYC accreditation and are also at 5-star. which is Vermont's quality enhancement system for early childhood programs, and 5 stars is the highest that you can maintain. And so 12 out of 15, we currently have submitted an application for our Oak Grove classroom, and that's being processed as we speak, so that will soon be a 5-star classroom as well. And then we have a couple of newer infant toddler classrooms that we've begun the stars process. So we're always sort of moving and wanting to get stars and then NACE accreditation for all of our classrooms, which is the highest form of accreditation. It's a national accreditation with a lot of best practices and standards that we feel are important for our program. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our program curriculum, and although we use a lot of different resources, the curriculum that we have selected as our framework is called Creative Curriculum, and it's a great fit for Head Start because it's very much involving and including families into the curriculum. And we have this past spring really looked at how we're implementing creative curriculum with a goal of implementing it to fidelity. So one of the things that we did this spring was to have our teachers go to each other's classrooms and use a creative curriculum to fidelity checklist to check out the environment and then give some feedback to each other. And then our education supervisors went out and also did observations in other areas, including the structure of the day, the teacher-child interactions, and the partnerships that we have with families. So the physical environment was done by our own staff in each other's classrooms, and then they shared their feedback, which was very powerful because in using the checklist in someone else's classroom, it also gave them some ideas of what they should be doing in their classroom. So it was a very helpful exercise. Once the checklist had been done in those areas, and we looked at how well we're implementing creative curriculum, each classroom came up with an action plan and determined where their strengths are and what areas of those 5 that I mentioned they'd like to strengthen. And then we've provided ongoing resources and support, and we meet with them regularly. The result of this push to really look at creating this creative curriculum to fidelity model is that the outcomes for children, if you look at our assessment data, you can see that we made great gains, and this year, this past school year, the gains were the best that they've been in a long time. And so one of the things that is a result of this is that teachers now are planning curriculum and teaching with more intention, which of course leads to better outcomes for children. We also use the second step violence prevention curriculum as a resource in our preschool classrooms. This is a curriculum that teaches children pro-social skills, emotional management, how to problem solve. And it's very important at this age for us to be really teaching social skills. And the beauty of Second Step is it has some wonderful resources. It is research-based, and we are implementing it this year program-wide, which means that we'll be taking many of the concepts and implementing them from infant, toddler, all the way up to preschool with the language and the reinforcement. And one of the really exciting things that I'd like to share about the Second Step is we've got a partnership with the Brattleboro Museum. We've had this partnership for 19 years where we have artists come into our classrooms. And this year I shared with them what lessons, what social emotional skill lessons we are all working on. And they're going to design their art projects and their music and movement activities to support those skills so that we're all reinforcing in a way that I think is going to be really wonderful. So we're excited about this new partnership. As far as mental health and behavior support, last program year, there were 170 0.5 hours of mental health support provided by a licensed mental health clinician. And this is a performance standard. Every Head Start program needs to have a licensed mental health professional. We contracted with someone to come in, and she provided staff consultation, classroom observation. She met with teachers. She was running a support group for our family services team, as well as some of our teachers, and we worked very closely with her throughout the year. We also have had on-site behavior support in both our Brattleboro and Westminster classrooms, and collectively 32 children last program year were receiving behavior support. And that can be in-classroom support, it can be working with the teachers to come up with strategies, it could be writing behavior plans. But that was a significant number and some wonderful services that were being provided. We have partnerships with 2 regional early intervention teams, Children's Integrated Services, the team down here in Brattleboro and also the team up in Springfield, Vermont, because remember we have classrooms in Westminster and it's a different catchment area. So we have ongoing partnerships with both of those agencies, as well as 2 school districts, Wyndham Southeast and Wyndham Northeast. We refer children for services, children are evaluated, and most of the time services are provided on-site in an inclusive model in our classrooms. So what's happening now? We've only been in school for 1 full month, but we have some very exciting things that we are planning for this year. We're always looking at what else can we do, how can we do what we're doing better or with more intention, and we base this on the needs of the children and families we serve. We are in the process of doing developmental screenings on all newly enrolled children. So this is a Head Start performance standard as well. We do developmental screenings as well as social and emotional screenings within the first 45 days. So those are in process with a deadline of October 14th. So our teachers are very busy doing that. And then based on that, we will be able to tell if children need a little additional support or if they maybe need to be referred to the school district or to the Children's Integrated Services for a closer look. We are in the process of getting observations in order because our first child assessment checkpoint will be no later than November 9th. So teachers are doing ongoing observations on children. I personally just completed 3 NACE accreditation yearly reports, but it's necessary to maintain our accreditation and very important. The creative curriculum, we're doing a closer monitoring this year. We put so much effort into implementing creative curriculum to fidelity that we're doing every other month, going into the classrooms, reviewing curriculum plans and doing classroom observations so that we can see that it is being implemented to fidelity. So that's a little change. And as far as mental health and behavior support, we have a new mental health consultant who just started this year. Her name is Miriam Dror, and she is from Dummerston. And she has just started making the rounds, visiting classrooms, has done some child observations and met with some teachers already in her first month. And then we have an exciting new partnership with HCRS, where we are going to have a school-based mental health clinician at our Canal Street Head Start Center. This is very exciting. It's through the Success After 6 grant, and we will be able to provide individual services to children and families at our center, where children and families feel very comfortable. Oftentimes we make outside referrals, but the follow-up is minimal and children aren't getting their services. So we're really excited to be able to provide these services on site. She will be working full-time and will also be available to any of our other classrooms here in Brattleboro, including Oak Grove. So we're very excited about that. Her name is Crystal O'Brien, and I believe she's starting next week. So this is great news. And that's it for education, disabilities, and mental health. If anyone has any questions.
We're holding our questions till the end.
Okay, and do you want me to do Kelly's? Okay, sorry, I'm wearing a different hat now. Our health manager was unable to come tonight, and so she asked me to just make a couple of points, highlight a few things about health services. So in addition to the developmental screenings, all of the children that are newly enrolled in Head Start are connected up to a medical home within the first 30 days. So if they haven't been seeing a pediatrician, or it's been off and on, or they've recently moved, EES makes sure they're connected to a medical home. There are also vision and hearing screenings that are done on all of the children, and the nurses have been very busy going out to the centers and doing that. Let's see. All children ages 1 and up have their hearing tested with a special scanner that we have, and then we also do blood pressures, heights, and weights on the children. Kelly wanted me to make sure that you all knew that we have an amazing health services advisory team, which meets several times a year and is made up from community members and other health professionals, so that they review what we're doing, our program plans, and they're aware of what's happening at EES. And EES is part of the Maternal Child Health Coalition, Fit and Healthy Kids, Substance Abuse Recovery Perinatal Health Coalition, and other local health and wellness groups. And Kelly wants me to remind everybody that school readiness begins with health. Thank you.
So you just heard about primarily the Head Start and Early Head Start portions of EES. We also have a stateside, our Parent-Child Center designation, and Sandy Stark is our Parent-Child Center coordinator, so she's going to give you an overview of what that looks like.
My little spiel here. So I don't know if you've seen this brochure before. This is a new brochure for early education services that was put together by one of our staff members, Francisco, who's amazing. But anyway, this is our newest brochure, and it covers all of that we talked about so far. Head Start, as well as our Parent-Child Center component. So I'm just going to hand this out to everyone so you can have just a nice overview, I think, of what services we provide at EES. And it's just kind of nice and concise and easy to read. So just hand that out to everyone. Deb, I'm sure you've seen this. Yes. So as Deb mentioned, we also are the Parent-Child Center for our region. A lot of people in this region think of us as Head Start and Early Head Start, but we have been the Parent-Child Center for a very long time, since the inception of Parent-Child Centers. And we are one of 15 Parent-Child Centers in the state, and we cover the southeastern region. That is 19 towns in Windham County, which is basically I don't know if you've heard the term Brattleboro Agency of Human Services District. That's the region that we cover as the Parent-Child Center. So Brattleboro and the other towns that are part of WSESU are just a portion of the towns that we cover. So actually, I collaborate a lot with 3 other supervisory unions as well across our region. And of those 19 towns, all of them are, we cover most of Windham County except the top towns. Unfortunately, Rockingham and all its villages are very confused about who they get services from, which is it's a big challenge because they actually are covered by the Springfield Parent-Child Center. So the Parent-Child Center component of our agency are those programs that are open to anyone in the region. They're programs that are not based on income. They're basically they're supports for parents with young children. So a big part of my job is really connecting parents with resources, connecting them with each other, connecting them with their community through a variety of different programs. I see a lot of principals here, so I recognize you from the Teddy Bear Teas. The Teddy Bear Teas are 15 area open houses that I run every spring. And again, they're a chance for families to connect with their community, with their school, with each other, with resources, and pretty much all the other programs as part of the Parent-Child Center do that as well, including the Welcome Baby program, which I brought a Welcome Baby bag. Deb said I should really bring this for, just a prop. Here it is. And the interesting thing about Welcome Baby, I don't know if you know much about it, but Welcome Baby programs happen around the state of Vermont in every region. And they were started actually by Howard Dean when he was our governor, because he felt that every child and family should have a welcoming visit. They should get resource information and education around being a parent as soon as possible. So they look different. Over the years, they've evolved and changed. We are one of very few programs that still have home visits. So we try to reach as many parents as we can and get them a Welcome Baby bag, which is full of resource information, parenting information, lots of gifts and coupons. Sometimes that's the only way we get in the door. In fact, this hat is why I had a Welcome Baby visit when my second daughter was born. However we can get in, we just want, we want to welcome parents to parenthood. We want to connect them with their community. We want to congratulate them on the birth of their child. And we're very flexible. It doesn't have to be a home visit. If they just want to pick up a bag or get it dropped off, that's also an option as well. And if you look on your list there in the brochure, I won't go over everything, but playgroups are another way. Again, we get parents connected with each other, connected with resources, and it's pretty self-explanatory just looking at the list of the programs we provide. They're all about connection, education, and they're open to everyone. We do, like was mentioned by Home-Based, our Home-Based program, we have a lot of parent education classes and support groups. And again, those are open to early Head Start and Head Start parents, but they're also open to the general community. And we like to do a lot of collaborating with other area organizations. And right now we are holding the Mother Circle, which is a support group for moms it's held at EES, but it is run by a facilitator who is from HCRS, and the food is provided some nights by us, sometimes by Winston Prouty. So it's a collaborative effort. We definitely work together with other organizations to provide support and education and connection to families. So I don't know if you have any questions.
I'm just going to add a few.
Okay, sure.
So the Welcome Babies bag, maybe you can pass that around, Sandy.
Sure.
So we can look. And the knitted hats, as Sandy said, are the kind of the way that we get our foot in the door. Everybody who's seen these hats wants one. We have one volunteer who has been knitting these hats for many years.
Since 1998.
And how many does she, like 300 a year or something?
It's usually around 200 or so.
Who is she?
Her name
is Jean Hansen. Yeah, and we're actually going to focus on her in our calendar, our annual report, which is a calendar. We're going to honor her in that this year because, it's pretty amazing. When she decides to retire, I'm going to have to be calling up a lot of knitters.
And we do have a lot of volunteers who work with Sandy to conduct these home visits, so the Welcome Baby visits. So if anybody wants to do that, I've done a few, and they're really, they're pretty neat.
I'm always looking for volunteers, actually. We have community volunteers, like Deb mentioned, who do the visits. I do some visits, and then we have, there's a lot of organizations in the area that are already visiting families in their homes, so we collaborate with them, and they'll bring Welcome Baby bags and do the visit as well. But yeah, the gifts are, they're, again, to congratulate the family, but it is sometimes a way to get in the door.
Yeah. There's a blueberry hat and a strawberry hat.
Yeah. So that little baby face, that was my attempt at marketing a few years ago. So I put it on everything.
And then I know you've heard this from me 100 times, but again, under that parent-child center designation, we run our dedicated dads group. So when we're talking about parenting groups, we're not just talking about moms. We're also talking about the services that we do for dads. And again, that's open to anyone and everyone who might be interested. So, thank you. And at this point, there's much more that I could tell you, but I think I'd like you to tell me what you would want to know about EES that you haven't yet heard, what are you curious about?
Well, I just wanted to say that these stats from fall to spring, yes, it looks like we had, and again, we added 7 kids from fall to spring, which is good. But that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Not just getting kids up to meet standards, but you're increasing the exceed standards. That's really great.
That is really great.
That's really great.
I know.
Which students are these?
These are all of our Head Start students.
Okay. So this includes then a lot of classrooms where there's a
All
lot
the
of transition
Yes.
in staff and shortage of
Yes.
staffs. And
Yes.
still you're able to make those
Yes.
gains.
And these staffs
Yes.
are program-wide, so they include early Head Start and Head Start. So all 15 classrooms.
Would you speak to staff turnover?
So, yes, we have staff turnover. And Maureen, you can jump in. Actually, this year, it looks better than it did a year ago. If you're remembering, last year we were beginning to talk about needing to shorten the day in our Westminster Head Start site because we didn't have enough teachers. Actually, Westminster is fully staffed this year, and so that's wonderful. We do have pockets where we are not fully staffed with 3 teachers in the classrooms. We have 2, and we're using SUDS.
I'd like to say, so because we choose to put 3 teachers in each classroom and the state only requires 2, we do that because of the high needs of the kids, and we know that the teachers can be more available to meet those needs. We have had less of a turnover in the past year because we started implementing practice-based coaching for all of our new teachers. So upon hire, they are assigned somebody who will be their coach, and all of our practice-based coaches have had 2 full days of training through our regional technical assistance folks, and they're matched up with a coach. They self-assess what they'd like more support on, and in addition to their supervisor, they have this coach that they can really rely on, who's connecting with them and asking them, how are you doing, and what information do you need, and just kind of, we found that once we did that, the turnover was a lot less. When I'm fully staffed, I would have 35 teachers. I'm only down 6. So although we still have vacancies, and we struggle with that, it's really not that bad. I think it's improving year by year, and I do think the coaching has helped significantly to keep teachers with us. Yeah.
There's a lot of research that supports what Maureen is saying in terms of providing those relationship opportunities, mentoring, the coaching that will keep folks in the field and keep them interested in what we're doing and what they're doing. In the spring, we had our self-assessment process, and the results, the raw data results from that, our World Cafe, were overwhelmingly positive, more than I've seen ever. And I think a lot of it is because of what Maureen is saying, is that we're really starting to, really elevate the relationship aspect of the program for our teachers and for other staff.
So I hear you saying that the needle is moving from pretty dire to a safer, it's improving.
It's improving, but as we've discussed, it's a national epidemic, not only in early childhood, but in education. And so it's improving. It's not what I've seen in many years past. We're saying six openings is good, but 10 years ago, 6 openings would not have been good.
And if you're the classroom that only has 2 teachers, even though there's 6 openings, that's significant for those teachers. That means that 2 of them are doing all of the planning, all of the assessment, all of the parent conferences, everything. And so that can be pretty daunting. We're still hoping for fully staffed classrooms.
Deb, I had a quick question when talking about the mental health and that we've provided 170.5 hours of support. How does that compare to other programs? Is that a high amount or
other Head Start programs?
Yes.
We're unique in that we have these positions that Maureen was discussing,
Okay.
the behavior support specialist. All Head Start programs are required to have a mental health consultant, but we are unique in that we have this created position.
Okay.
So it's really hard to be able to make that comparison.
Okay. Fair enough.
I have a few little sort of specific kind of questions. You talked about the coordinator, the one application for housing service. Is that just for, I mean, it's not, like, that's not important, it's huge, that they can get all the housing applications done in one. But does that, can they take that same piece of paper over to food support or medical support or training for the parent support? Or any other social services that are offered through other agencies or human services?
No, this is just for housing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and there's, Groundworks is doing it, CIS, Children Integrated Services are doing it. We are now doing it. I'm not sure if there's anybody else, but it's been really, really wonderful for our families to have somebody. We have one of our home-based family support specialists who has had the training to conduct these applications with families. And it's been really wonderful to have this, because housing is really a big issue for a lot of our families.
I ask because I hear all the time about how, so they go to one agency and they've got one form, and for one they have to have birth certificates, another one they have to have something else, and they wind up having to go back to Wardsboro or someplace to get it, and things fall through because of that. So I asked that. How many clients does each of the case managers have? I'm not sure who would answer that question.
Well, I know that I have 48 children and families.
And I have 54 families.
And then our home visitors have 10.
Yeah, so there's
Wow.
Yeah, so there's 40 total in the home base. I'm not sure about Westminster.
Westminster, Mary Ellen has 46, about 40.
So
Yeah,
I guess
high caseloads.
that leads into my next question, which was actually my first question, but it was going to be the last, but I'll ask it now. What are some of the challenges and the areas of need, and where do you need additional support? You can think about
Do we have enough time?
Yeah.
Well, we're sometimes in a position to help or to influence people who can help.
Right.
Teacher salaries.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, salaries
Just saying.
salaries is a big
Are
one.
they certified?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Not
are
just
in the union?
teachers.
No,
No.
they're not in the union.
Why is that?
Because it's for K
Because
through,
it's-
it's
Because
for
they're what?
K through 8 teachers. Is that
They're
right?
what?
K through
But
6
it's also
teachers.
federally.
They're paid
Well,
through
we
the feds,
could
not
be
through
unionized.
You
Some
could be
kids'
unionized.
programs are unionized.
But
So,
they
That would be a
should
Lyle
get-
question, probably.
well, the reason they're not is because, again, it has that sort of that historical diversity, the difference between the field of early childhood and public education. So the qualifications have risen as more and more information has been brought out about the importance of early childhood. And so, generically speaking, early childhood programs or the profession of early childhood have voted out the option of becoming unionized because, first of all, they can't afford the union dues on the salaries that they make. And secondly, they were feeling like they wouldn't benefit by it. I mean, it's not going to demand that salaries increase if there's not money there to make that happen. So in the 2 programs that I've been involved in over the many decades, there has been efforts to create unions, and they've been voted down primarily. And if you have a culture where staff are supported and feel part of the agency, they generally are not interested in becoming a union.
But these aren't salaried positions, these are hourly employees, right? The teachers.
Yes, I guess we could say they're hourly employees.
And their
Yeah.
pay is based on an hourly rate.
Yes.
And how much what's the average? I just want to get this.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
there are different tiers of teachers. So we have lead teachers who are the qualified, certified, licensed teachers. Then we have teachers, and we have resurrected the assistant teacher position that we had kind of evaporated a few years back when we were not so desperate for finding teachers. And now we've built that position back in so that we can sort of train up teachers. So
I can maybe give you an answer to that. So our assistant teachers who are required to have at least a child development course under their belt would make around $11.50 an hour. And then the range would be associate, bachelor's, master's, and I'd say at the high end of the scale, it's only about $15 an hour, which is substantially less than public school teachers. And many of our lead teachers, well, they all have bachelor's degrees, and many are either have or are working on teacher licensure.
Does anything else come to mind in terms of things that get in the way of being able to be as effective as you might, or areas where more support would really significantly help your work?
Time. We have a lot. We have really big caseloads, and to give the time. Sometimes we wish we had more, because there's a lot, and there's a lot of need. But we do our best, and EES has done really well at supporting us. We have a mental health clinician that comes in and helps us kind of regroup so we can go back out and keep providing the services.
That was actually another question. Is there, do you feel like you have enough mental health professional support, not just for that, but for the parents and for the children, but obviously for the parents and families as well? And is that enough available?
Well, I mean,
we collaborate with other agencies, so we can provide referral services towards getting that help.
Great.
I think we could have some more mental health services in our area for our families. Sometimes it's hard to get them seen by someone. And the mental health crisis that we're starting to see because of the opiate epidemic, it's been hard to support and find the resources. But we just keep trying, and it usually works out and falls into place. Sometimes it takes a little tweaking, but we can get there.
And we are helpful with the school-based clinician model at Canal Street, that individual will be able to see children as well as families, and will get her clinical supervision through HCRS. So she'll be very connected to the mental health community, but will be able to provide the services on site. They're coming to school every day, so they're already there. And the parents are coming to pick up and drop off, so they're already there. And we think that that has the potential to increase accessibility of services. So we're very excited about that.
Could you tell me what your staff has for health care?
I can answer that. So we have everything that the school system provides. So we get all of those benefits, which is a plus. And we determine that that's about 40% of their annual income cost. So that's a big benefit. We do provide a retirement match that's a little bit higher than what the school system gives. So EES kicks in another %. And yeah, so they have health insurance, paid holidays, paid vacation, we have disability and retirement.
Dental.
And dental.
They have maternity leave?
Yes, yes.
We have a lot of those.
Yes, we
A lot of
do.
young teachers who are starting families. Yeah. Yeah.
And then one other question about the behavior issues. Is there a restorative justice model for the primary years or for families with really young children?
Well, what we are implementing with this age group is based on positive behavior support, which the school system also is, but for early childhood. So it looks a little different than the school district, but our staff are all trained. We implement the pyramid model, and a lot of it is prevention, and then addressing the needs through supportive relationships and supportive environments, and then teaching social skills. And when all of that's in place, strong, There will still be some children that need additional individualized interventions, and we have the resources to provide that. So that's really our model is positive behavior support, and it's working.
And around restorative justice, I would answer yes to that, in that we're giving our children the basic skills they need to be able to, when they move to that developmental place of being able to reason and all of that, they can actually apply those skills. So we're teaching them to identify their feelings, articulate their feelings, be able to socialize in a positive way with each other, and to verbalize when they feel that they have been wronged. So those are the basic skills that lead into social justice.
Thank you.
Was there anything?
You probably know this, but I just want to mention that we have about 70 employees at EES, and we operate with a $4 million budget that is a combination of Head Start, Early Head Start, and the state program funds that you heard about. And my job is, I describe it as being 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So as much as I'm in the program, I'm out of the program, doing a lot of collaborating with many of the local agencies, the state agencies, and then the regional and national. And we have a great team. We have an outstanding team. We had a staff barbecue last night in the pouring rain at the Vernon Rec Center from 4 to 6. And it was staff and families, and this was something that came out of our self-assessment World Cafe. They wanted an opportunity to be able to socialize and network with each other, and we finally were able to make that happen yesterday. And I was driving to the pavilion in torrential rain, really thinking this is going to be a bust, and oh my gosh, nobody will be here, and everybody who is will be complaining, and it was anything but that. People were happy, they brought their children, they were proud, they pitched in, they were thanking me, and that's really indicative of the culture that we have at EES and the level of dedication that we have from our staff.
And the kind of response, when you respond to things that people ask for, that's what you can kind of expect.
Yes, no, thank you.
I just wanted to mention that this particular policy council seems particularly strong to me. The parents that are involved are really committed to communicating with the other parents. They're having trouble getting them to come to all the meetings, but they're definitely, they're making that effort all the time, and they're constantly reporting back the things that are going on and keeping the policy council up to date.
Yes, they are a great group.
Well, thank you all for coming. We appreciate your hard work, and obviously you just based on these charts alone, the work that you're doing is fabulous, and we really thank you for it.
I feel really proud to be part of a school district that is providing all of these services that beyond the excellent education to the whole 24 hours of these families' lives, and looking at the ways that we're now starting to implement that at the elementary school level, but you guys are like killing it at the pre-elementary school level, so it's really great to hear about.
Thank you very much. You're free to go. We have a lot, and just so you know, we do need to go into executive session. We have that as well. So we will go to administrative reports, and we can start down over here on my right, Mark.
Okay. Okay, jumping into the report that's coming around. I think what I'll do is start right in with student programming. Well, actually before that, in the month of September, we had 6 students move into the school and 1 student move out. So that was quite a bit of carryover for the first month of the school year. In terms of student programming, I'd like to point out that our after-school program is about to get kicked off. we're sending home our after-school brochures on Thursday. I'm going to send these around so board members have an idea of how extensive that program is. I'm going to speak to it a little bit towards the end of the report. A couple other programs. We had our cross-country team was scheduled to have a meet today. It got canceled, which is unfortunate. It was like the most beautiful afternoon to go running. But I guess the course was waterlogged from yesterday. Upcoming parent events. We have a ton going on in the month of October. We have our open house barbecue tomorrow night. So if you can make it for a visit, I think you'd get a great sense of the Green Street School community. 5:30 to 6:15 is open time for families to tour the school, visit classrooms, get a sense of what we're offering this year in terms of our academic and social program. And then from 6 to 7, we'll have an outdoor picnic barbecue on the front lawn. So it's a really nice evening. It's a nice way to get the year started. And if you're able to come visit, I think you get a really good sense of our school community as well. Next week, we are hosting a literacy night, and that is October 11th. We're starting the evening offering pizza at 5:30 for families, and then that will follow up with a literacy night. Let's see. I skipped over this, but this Monday we had our first community breakfast of the year. That was offered for families in kindergarten through 2nd grade. So from 7:45 to 8:30, we had an open breakfast in the gymnasium. It was packed. Every seat was taken. Tons of families came in. It was a really nice way to start the week. We had fruit parfait, pancakes, sausage, pumpkin pancakes. It was a really nice way to offer breakfast for families, but also an opportunity for families to get to know one another. We're going to do another community breakfast on October 15th, so 2 Mondays from this week, and that'll be for grades 3 through 6.
What time is the breakfast one?
Anywhere from 7:45 to 8:30. And then towards the end of October, we will host a Spooky Stories night on October 25th. Andy Davis, who retired music teacher from last year, will be coming back to present Spooky Stories night. So essentially every week of the month of October, we have some type of opportunity for families to be engaged in the school with the teachers, with the kids. So it's a really nice way to, build some momentum with the school year and build our community up. So
I like the variety too of the cranky stories
Yes.
and then the spooky stories.
yes. So we're excited about that. I'll speak a little bit to that after-school program brochure, because I think this is another example of how impressive our community has developed over the years. Over half of our staff is involved in our after-school program this year, which is amazing because it's quite a commitment to make. And we are offering programs under many different themes, and I'll just list off the themes that I could think of, and I think there's more. Engineering, dance, athletics, art, music, drama, building, technology, communications, and leadership. So it's pretty impressive. So take some time to go through that brochure. We're very proud of it, and we'll probably speak to it in more detail at future meetings.
How did you get so many of your staff to teach at these after-school things?
Kelsey's gonna get all her furniture refinished.
No, they will be refinishing furniture for themselves. But I don't know, I think there's just, Green Street is such a community where there is it's such a family, and it feels like we're happy to stay for another hour of the day to spend time doing things with students that maybe they wouldn't typically get to do. It almost feels like strange if you're not part of an after-school program. They're so fun. You get to do, so I'm offering a furniture remodeling program. Like, it's just something I love to do that's a passion that students will enjoy doing with me that I wouldn't normally get to do with them in my third grade classroom every day. So I think there's just a ton of buy-in because it's fun and we feel happy to be there for another hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the kids learn in so many different ways, and it's just so exciting to see them try something different. Last year we had 70% participation throughout the year, and I almost guarantee we'll be up to 80% or higher this year. So it's evolved over the last 3 years. 4 years ago it was just a tutoring program. And then we started emphasizing, hey, this can be more than that. Let's think about enrichment. So we have some teachers come up with ideas, inspire other teachers, and it's just built 1 year at a time. So I feel like we're at a really impressive place right now. And people are inspired by each other in terms of what they're offering. If you want to come visit an after-school day, check out some programs, that would be a great thing to do as well.
Thank you. Ready? You're ready. That way. This
Right.
one. Thank you.
The first thing of note on our monthly report, Lyle wanted me to mention that we had one of our 4 students who joined Academy this month joined kindergarten, and her birth date falls after the September 1st line. Lyle spoke directly to the parent and to Jill, and so it was seen as a transfer because she began kindergarten in New Jersey prior to moving here. Therefore, we didn't have to approve her coming into the school, but just wanted to let you know that that happened. It's been a great addition. We had all of our safety drills this month. It was great to get those going. We learned a lot about how we can improve our safety at school. For the fire drill, we actually had, I think it was the entire staff, if you will, of the WSB fire station come over. They brought a couple fire trucks and they timed us and they watched all of the points of egress to see, you know, were there any areas that were blocked or, you know, just general safety. So that was great to get feedback from them. Student programming, we are at the very beginning phase where Mark probably was a few years ago of trying to work toward expanding our student programming. We have cross country. We have a new program this year. Our art teacher, Wendy Windle's doing printmaking. She got a grant last year to purchase a really large printing press. So that's being offered for upper grades. We also host strings, which is a district level music class here. And our music teacher, Bree Davenport, is doing World Drumming Club. But I intend to share the brochure that Mark gave out. Because we're building enthusiasm. We're talking about what can we apply for grants for. We've talked about snowshoes to utilize our grounds in the winter. But really it's the time where we're gathering staff to want to facilitate these programs. And I think it'll continue to grow. We had our welcome back night barbecue and open house on September 20th. It was a great night. It was beautiful outside. Allie West cooked for us on the grill, which was really nice, so it was cooked fresh. We also had a lot of tables. Jill was one of them with exchange students. And another was Food Connects, where the families got to do the monthly taste test, which was Swiss chard. So that was kind of a nice way. Usually it's just students and it happens in school. So that was kind of cool to offer families a taste of the vegetable of the month. And Allie estimated that we fed about 800 people. So it was a pretty good turnout. Dates coming up. We have our family breakfast, which happened in the fall and spring. So K1 is happening October 10th.
2-3 happens the 17th, and 4 through 6 happens the 24th. Those are 7:30 to 8:15 in the cafeteria. And, oh, one other thing I do want to highlight is actually a couple things. Under parent and community events, we've started via the new parent liaison positions, which is co-chaired with 2 of our academic support teachers, and Title I. We've created a parent group that meets weekly before all schools sing. And since our parent group is called ACT, we decided to call it PACT. It's Parents and Caregivers Together. And they're meeting to just discuss any pertinent issues that come up. This week, Facebook and social media as a means of communication came up, so they're gathering some resources about that. But it's really just an open forum for parents to come talk about parenting and how we can be of help as a school for them. So you're welcome to join that anytime if you're free, and stay for all school sing after. We had an amazing, unprecedented turnout at our first parent group ACT meeting on the 13th of September. And one thing they decided to try out this year, it's a new event, is Trunk or Treat, which will happen on Friday in the back parking lot, Friday the 26th of October. And if you're not familiar, people decorate their trunks of their cars for Halloween, and they pass out candy, so it's a safe way for kids to trick or treat. We'll do a fundraiser for that, start selling our raffle tickets there, and we're hoping to give a prize for the best trunk. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. And a structure, Emily Marker, one of our kindergarten teachers, was approved for a grant via 1% last year, and with that grant she's purchased a structure that's going up in our forest for the forest kindergarten programs. Right now there's benches and a fire pit. This is it's not a permanent structure, but it's sort of a lean-to 3-sided structure with a floor, so it'll be great for when it's not the best weather outside, and the whole school will be able to use it. We're really excited about that. And lastly, I'm excited on a personal level, and John, I think you are too, that we're going to be working a little bit more with Paul Bacco from Antioch to develop some PLCs with our staff to drive forward our continuous improvement plan. So he's coming to work with teacher leaders and John and myself to teach us some protocols, and then that will trickle down to the full staff. So that's an exciting move for us. We wanted to get our PLCs going and get a big structure in place, and that's feeling like it's happening. So that's big. And I have one actionable thing that won't take too long. I have a letter about a maternity leave. Our music teacher, Bree Davenport, is expecting a baby, and she is intending to begin her leave February 25th, 2019, given any unforeseen issues, and return for the fall of 2019. So that means I'm going to be looking to hire a long-term sub for music, which entails music, band, and all school sing, which is pretty tricky. So I would love your approval to do that. And I'm thinking possibly as we advertise it, one option might be to solicit the one and only Andy Davis to come do all school sing. Right. And if he doesn't want to do the rest, that's okay, but he might be interested in just doing that. That's really his forte. He's excellent, and might be a perfect balance if we needed to split that way. So.
Do we ever offer? My wife's a music teacher, and she was sick on Tuesday, and they couldn't find the sub even for those days, and it's been that way for a long time. And do we ever offer like signing bonuses? Or would you look into that?
I can look into that.
We obviously have to talk about it, but if you have trouble,
sure.
There's been a lot of turnover in the music program, and it's a really important one. So.
Yeah. And band, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to that position that it's really hard to even think of.
It was already hard to find
Filling it.
a person who could teach general music and band.
Yes,
So.
and she's amazing. So I said, can't you just video all the all-school things for the rest of the year? But she probably would if I really asked her to. But
So, I'm sorry, what is the motion needed to
hire
hire
a
a long-term sub?
sub.
Okay. I move that we approve Academy School to hire a long-term sub for Ms. Davenport's maternity leave.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're excited about our newest Academy star. Join us in 5 years.
So you all set?
Yes.
All right. Moving on down to Jerry.
Well, while you're waiting for the report, I will also announce that my kindergarten teacher is expecting in early February, and so
Great, we're gonna just grow our
yeah, I
own
know,
students.
it's wonderful. So she's going to be going out on maternity leave second semester, so that's like the end of January until, I think she's coming back the last couple weeks of June or something, so I haven't put that out for position, but I hope to after tonight. So again, I will need a one semester long-term sub for my kindergarten teacher starting in January until first part of June, and then it's almost a full semester.
I move that we approve for Oak Grove School to hire a long-term sub for the kindergarten maternity leave.
Second.
Second by Swoop. Was that you?
Second.
Okay, or did you have a
Say
question?
yes all at once.
He was voting yes.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Great, thank you. Okay, so my report isn't totally complete. I apologize for that. My secretary has been under the weather a little bit, so in terms of like attendance and averages and stuff like that, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So anyway, we did have the same kindergarten safety drill. I forgot to write that down as well. We had evacuation drill back in September. Student programming looks a little bleak, but in October it will look a little bit better. We have started homework club, and so 3 days a week we do have our homework club. In October, this month is when we actually start our after-school programming. So tutoring begins. We have a crafts club coming up for younger grades. We have a cooking club coming up. I think we're doing something again with robotics. But just like what Kelly said, I mean, it's you know, Green Street is always like the exemplar of after-school programming, and that we all strive for. And I always like, how do you get your staff? You know, but so I'm working with PTO a lot to try to get families or parents involved with offering some after-school programming. Being a small school, you have small staff, and a lot of our staff are actually tutoring on the days that we're looking for after-school programming, so it makes it kind of challenging. So our staff are busy after school, but not necessarily doing some of these fun, I mean, really fun things. But we're working on it. So hopefully you'll see things that I'll have, and I'll provide numbers so you can see what we're offering and what those numbers look like. We went to the Sunglass Theater, pre-K actually, again, I forgot to write this down too, pre-K marched down to the Wilson Woods. We don't have, you know, any woods around our area, so we're like, you know, beautiful fields. We're very fortunate about our fields and our gardens, but pre-K went with Beak, and they walked kind of, you know, a couple blocks and went down into the Wilson Wood area. And you guys all familiar with where that is, right? Over by the, yeah. And they did some exploration down there, so that's like our closest little wooded area. Third grade also was, because they go on their little mushroom hunts, so they were around the neighborhood, they were down in Wilson Woods, and then they're going to Fort Dummer on Friday. So lots of fun things that are going on. Upcoming events, our grades 4 to 6 are going down to Latches for the Literacy Fest.
We have our annual Grovey Walk and Celebration. Next Wednesday is the annual Walk to School Day, and so in honor of that, we always put in a Grovey and Oak Grove Grovey Walk, and we take our whole school either to Fort Dummer, or last year, because we had we have pre-K, so they can't walk from Oak Grove necessarily Fort Dummer, so we go down to the ball field, and we walk in multi-age groups. So every teacher has 6 students from various ages. They all kind of take care of each other, so that's our little group, and you go down there, and then we rotate. We play a bunch of different games. We have a snack table and a water table, and then we walk back up, and so that's like our all-school, what we call our Grovey Walk. So that's, when is that? That's next Friday. The end of the month is our big curriculum night and our harvest dinner. So our harvest dinner is like probably our biggest event of the year, second to our family picnic that comes up in late May. And coupled with that is our PTO, in conjunction with Everyone's Books, organize a book fair. So that same night we'll have things going on in our curriculum night and going on in the classrooms. We'll have our book fair happening. We have VSAC that comes and sets up a booth for us. Brooks Memorial Library comes and they set up a little booth, information, Brattleboro Savings and Loan, starting a savings account. So it's quite it's growing. And then of course it always ends with amazing food that the kids are helping prepare from food that they're harvesting from our own gardens that they planted in the spring. Beet cupcakes is always a big hit. I have yet to have one because I'm always at the end of the line and they're always gone. But we have soup, and they've already made pickles and I don't know, other stuff. But that's a great night. So if you're looking for great food, mark your calendar for the 25th. PTO is up and running. They've had one meeting. They have another one coming up, and just all kinds of interesting talks around after-school programming, around looking at Indigenous Peoples Day that's coming up on Monday, and purchasing books for every classroom. And then there's talk about having a parent go in and possibly read to at least the younger classes, that particular book to the kids. A lot of our staff participated in last Saturday's Buddy Walk that was held in town, so that was really fun. And then we had a couple of repairs to the kitchen. When one thing goes, something else goes, and so all of a sudden our oven died, and then we had to have that repaired, and then our refrigerator kicked the bucket again, and we thought we were going to have to replace the whole thing because it just seems that we keep dumping lots of money into that same refrigerator, and then it ended up being a smaller part of like $200 as opposed. So we repaired it, but I think we're about the last time, because I think we could have had a new refrigerator if we think about over the last 2.5 years, the amount of money that we put into that refrigerator, we probably could have just purchased a new one. But I guess that's it for me. So thank you.
And Debbie, you're all set.
I am. I do have just one actionable item, and it can be tabled until, it's a new policy, so you can table it until next month. I'll just distribute it so you can have it, and as it's going around, I'll explain.
Why don't we we'll do this as a first reading in that way.
Okay.
I think we have to say on the, in fact, I'm sure we have to say on the agenda that it's the first reading. So
okay.
The first reading would be next week.
All right.
Next month. Next meeting.
All right.
So do you want me to speak to it? Our employees work year-round, and they have great number of vacation days. In the past, we have had some challenges with teachers who are wanting to take their vacation in September, and we are really needing to discourage that, because that's such a critical time for children to be establishing relationships and predictability with their teachers. And so we found it necessary to create this policy that it speaks specifically to our education staff to say that we really want you, unless there's an emergency, not to schedule time off in September. And that's a huge cultural shift, so I really need your support.
We will have Barb add that to the agenda for,
thank you,
as an actionable item.
Posted in all the appropriate places.
Yep. All right, so did we have any unfinished business, or we'll move on down to new business? All right, silence is, we're going to pre-K partnership contracts.
All right, so I have the contracts here for, do you want me to read them all? Or
Yeah, we should probably read
Okay.
them, that way we
Actually,
have, it. We have them in the minutes.
Read them into the motion.
okay.
We probably could.
So it's Brattleboro Center, EES, Hilltop Montessori, Horizon,
You can get them later.
Little Red House.
What, David?
That's just Kelsey can
Okay,
type it
okay.
later.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll just give you this. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll give you the list. Mulberry Bush Neighborhood Schoolhouse, the Garland School, Grammar School, Timpson Hill, Westby, Winston Prouty, and Sunny Lane. So, and these are all contracts for them.
And will we approve the
And there's
pre-K
the list.
partnership contracts as presented?
I'll second.
Anybody with discussions or questions? Oh,
I came tonight because I just wanted you to have a chance to ask questions about any of the pre-K partnerships that we have. And Mariah's here as a director of one of the programs that we partner with. And I know that sometimes questions come up throughout the year, and I may not be here, but this is a good time to ask those.
An overview of what the partnership involves, just, for the public, not to mention us.
Sure. Well, in Vermont, we have a law that makes universal access to high-quality pre-kindergarten education available to families either in public school buildings or through partnerships with qualified community preschools in our town or in our supervisory union, and even throughout Vermont. And in Brattleboro, there are 147 3- and 4-year-olds who are educated via these partnerships in 13 different preschools throughout the region. We're really proud of our partnerships. In listening to the kinds of supports and services that the Head Start children get in Brattleboro and Westminster, I thought about, there are many, I can't even imagine the number of staff people who are working in the 13 partnerships who have many of the same issues around salary and get far fewer benefits, experience a lot of both the excitement of educating young children, but also the realities of a profession that is undervalued and under-resourced. But we're proud to work with all of those programs and to support families in our community to provide the best education they can for their young ones who are going to be in your kindergartens.
We also provide some professional development support, right? Is that
Yes, yeah.
Is that more collaborative effort?
Mm-hmm. Yep. In my role as the coordinator of early childhood special education and public pre-K, I myself do it, provide professional development, arrange for my colleagues in community positions to provide professional development, coaching, support for assessments. Yes, and Mariah, you should speak up too.
What?
As a recipient of, as being a partner, what does that mean to you?
I think it's great to be a partner and to be able to offer preschool to families at a discounted rate. And in our program, we're able to offer a 2-day slot for free to families, which is really awesome. I like the partnerships that we have and being able to work with other programs. What's working for you? What's working for you? Oh, let's try that. It's nice to be able to reach out to people in EEE and in the public schools to say, hey, we need some help with this. Could someone come over and do an observation? Or could we use the Four Winds trail because Westby is so close to the academy? I think we are overlooked a lot of the times, and I think that's hard. I think every teacher feels that at some point or another. There's never enough time, there's never enough money, there's never enough resources. So one of my hopes is that we can share resources. I've worked with Deb before in the past, and hey, can we join you for first aid and CPR? Or Janice, we need more professional development in autism. What can you hook us up with? So I think it's important for the school board to be aware that there are 13 other providers out there that are looking for some of the same resources that you talk about every month. And if we had maybe a little bit more of a voice, so maybe if once a year the providers were able to share some success stories with you, I think that would be awesome.
Can you guys just tell, oh sorry, go ahead, Sue.
My question was, are there attitudes or sympathies between the public school and EES staff and your staff? I'm just wondering what the feelings are between them. Like, are they look at it as lower on the scale, or?
More about attitude. You mean attitude as like a teacher?
Well, as I listen to all of this stuff, EES and you and the elementary schools, and it just, I have this big picture in my mind, or this big question about why isn't the entire educational system more under one umbrella?
It's about parent choice, really. I would love to have Westby. We had a partnership for many years. And actually earlier when I was introducing the staff, I was going to say, and I would love to have Mariah. She runs a quality program, and so there's a lot of mutual respect. But it's about parent choice in early childhood, and so what is offered at Westby might be different than what's offered at Winston Prouty or EES in terms of operating hours, what slots might be available for families, and what the pedagogy is, or, you know, there's just so many different choices that families have, and they want that choice. And so that's why we're not a cookie cutter situation under one umbrella.
And different needs too. Parents, some parents only need one or a few hours a week for their child. They're engaged with other family members or whatever. And some need it all the time because both parents work.
I can understand the different pedagogy stuff, but it's hard. My concern is you all have the same personal needs as far as health care, wages, and everything else. And that's where I think the change, I mean, I'm wondering if it isn't possible to still have all the diverse schools but still enable them all to be under the same contract.
Well, these schools are all tuition-based.
Yeah, those are all.
Someone's going to have to pay for all of the schools.
There have been some statewide efforts toward having one healthcare system for all of the providers. It didn't pass. The providers voted it down. So that thinking is not out in left field. There has been conversation about that for many years, and there has been some attempts at that, but unsuccessfully so.
One of one possibility, Spoon, might be if the state winds up creating a statewide teacher contract, it's going to be healthcare system, and most of the municipalities and the state employees are, if they're all getting similar programs, at some point it's going to dawn on somebody that we should put them all into one, like a big Blue Cross plan for everybody, and that would be the time to lobby intensely to include child care workers even in private facilities.
I think there's no arguing with the fact that if you're lucky enough to be a licensed teacher with endorsement in early childhood education, early childhood special ed, and have a job in a public school, you get paid on a public school teacher's salary scale, you get benefits, you get the school calendar. Our system, locally and nationally, has many different pockets. And so school-based teacher, certified teacher-led preschool classrooms is one kind of pocket, and then other kinds of community-based preschools that are run by nonprofits, that are tuition-based, that get some, that write grants to support their operations. They have never been able to pay their staff and offer benefits at the level that schools have. But they have other, they might provide education throughout the entire calendar year for families that are working and need year-round care, full-day care.
Could you guys speak to what do the programs on this list have to do to be, to qualify for this funding?
They have to employ a licensed teacher with an endorsement in early childhood education. They have to agree to use the state-approved child assessment system, which it's called Teaching Strategies Gold. It's the system that those results Kim talked about is based on.
There's a list, so I handed it.
Okay, it's right on the thing that we're
There's a whole
actually
list of things, so I thought it might be easier to just
captured in
pass those around.
And that's what Maureen is giving you a report from.
Okay.
They use a curriculum that's aligned with the Vermont Early Learning Standards.
STARS.
And they participate in the STARS program, and they need to maintain a 4 or 5 star.
Okay.
That kind of refers to the Response to Schools program as well, because that is one thing that all pre-K programs have to, if they want to be licensed in the state of Vermont, they have to participate in that assessment evaluation program. And there's a certain number, I think you have to have 4 stars to get money from the state, out of 5. Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments?
No questions.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That was so long ago, the motion.
I know.
What's happening? What are we thinking?
We can reread the motion if you want, or?
No.
Okay.
I just took me a second to catch up to that.
No worries.
I was also going to ask, are you just signing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll sign.
Because that one doesn't have that.
Yeah. I was waiting until we actually voted before I signed.
Okay, very good.
Just to be legal. All right, so thank you both.
Thank
And I
you.
apologize for not putting you further up at the top, so I do apologize. So follow up on diversity training.
Well, I just wanted to see what thoughts that administrators were having about how we might go about incorporating the stuff that we talked about in our training and bringing that equity or liberation of systemic barriers. One idea that David and I had talked about is, I wonder if there could be kind of like the PLCs that you're talking about, that a stipended role of like a teacher leader in that could kind of lead the school in looking for those barriers and kind of bringing that learning model to the rest of the staff.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know at Green Street we have active PLCs that we just started. We do our PLCs every 3 months. So then each 3 months we look at different topics to explore.
Okay.
So at this point, the first 3 months, we don't have equity on there as a PLC, but that's certainly a venue that we could explore. It'd be a good place to explore it.
And I mentioned this idea to Michaela, and she said that as now that we have provided a structure for there to be a role of someone who's officially coaching the schools in this, I mean, which she has already been doing in an informal way, but as like one piece of her whole role. So now there would be more staffing and support around that there could be kind of a coaching thing going on where she could kind of work with the teacher leaders and then they could pass it on down. So she seemed really excited about that as a possibility.
Yeah. I think the SU Diversity Committee could lead up that work as well and provide some.
Well, that is sort of what they do already, but there's not representation on the committee from every school in the SU, nor every school in Brattleboro.
Yeah, there is.
So that would be step one.
In Brattleboro, there is, I believe.
I don't think there's anyone attending right now from Academy, as far as I've noticed.
And Oak Grove it's.
Yeah, Jerry was coming to it last year
It's
from
been
Oak
a
Grove,
struggle.
but there hasn't been a teacher.
I mean, yeah, it's yeah. Been a
So-
struggle, I've had it on there.
But that might be something that, if you had someone who's interested in that, if it became like a stipended role, that could be one of the things that person did, was serve on the committee and bring down to disseminate the stuff that we talk about on the committee to the rest of the staff.
Yeah, I think that's a real natural place to start, for sure.
Robin? Have you thought of asking the Spark Institute if they would be willing to make proposals for this, or integrating diversity stuff into, because this fits, that sort of is the work that they do, a lot of it. I mean, it fits, and they certainly have plenty of teachers on all levels there.
Can you
I
say
will have to
something
look
about
into
the
that. I don't know
Spark?
anything about the Spark
I
Institute.
don't either. So you'd have to say more about the Spark Institute.
Oh, well, the Spark Institute is a local program. It's run by Janaki, what's her name? Naharaji.
Oh, yeah, that used to be the diversity coordinator.
And Mikhail is a part of it, and a whole assortment of teachers here in Brattleboro and around the region. And they talk about, and they have bi-monthly or monthly weekend sessions in which they deal with how to teach difficult issues to schools. They actually train teachers on how to present difficult issues.
Okay. Well, that definitely seems like it would fit with the kind of support, and maybe that's something even that
I don't know
could be
if it's a
part of that
secret, but,
role of the
yeah,
teacher leaders attending those types of
Yeah, and I'm not sure about
workshops.
the Diversity SU Committee this year in terms of the representation, but I know in years past there have been Spark graduates who are current teachers in the SU who have served on that committee.
Yeah, I didn't remember, when you started talking more about what it is, I have heard people talking about those things, I just didn't put it together with the name, but yeah, I think I've heard people talking about some of the programs that are on that committee right now.
Yeah, Michaela Sims is using Oak Grove as a, well, she's contracted with us free. I haven't charged her, and I don't plan to, but Spark is one of their graduate programs right now for this semester, is that she's teaching and using our facility on Saturdays for this semester. Because the whole thing with Marlboro College, I used to be up at the Marlboro College site here in town. It's really expensive or whatever, and so we talked, and I'm like, let's make it work for you so that you can have your program. So I mean, it's more than just meetings. I mean, it's for graduate. These are graduate students that are working on their masters.
I wonder, so this is kind of new. I mean, this isn't like the state said you have to have bullying training, so dang, the system goes into place and that all gets established. And I don't think we want to, or could approach that this way. And I'm wondering if, I mean, it seems like there are two options. Typically, if the board wants something, we ask the administration to come back with a proposal and presentation and kind of, how we can get there. And knowing that your plates are really full, I'm wondering if we might want to, and there's a lot of information online. In any area of impact in society, there's a lot of information available and a lot of strategies and sample policies and all kinds of stuff that you can find. And I wonder if, since you are particularly interested in that part of it, I'm particularly diversity, and I'm particularly interested in the gender part, I wonder if we would want to volunteer to do some of that research and come back with some ideas and some potential resources and some potential training, and then say this is kind of what we found, kind of what we'd like to go to do, like set up a stipend for teachers in each of the schools to lead that kind of activity, or target some percentage of the Title I funds to people to do that kind of work, but then have some, an outline and a structure for them to kind of look at, and then go from there. Get some more information, because it's hard to talk about, well, there's this resource and that resource, and this might work, and there are various ideas, but we're not, it's been done, other people are doing it, it's been done, and there are people in the community that can help us, but I'm very hesitant to say, would you guys go get all that, find all that out, when, like Tuesdays, when you're not doing anything else.
I mean, I'm happy to look up resources that people could get, training and support from, but I feel like it would be good to just hear from the administrators how they feel like a structure that would work, and I don't know how much people get for being the teacher leaders, but like what amount of money we should set aside for this, and just sort of that more structural piece of it, I feel like should come from the administrators.
Could I suggest that we send them away with, to think about it and come back to the next meeting?
No, I don't mean like answer right now. Tell me what it is, but
Can I just ask a clarifying question about that? What is the desired outcome?
That's the question I'm trying to listen. That's what I was trying to say. What
because
do
we can do all these trainings, and I loved what Dottie said, that she wasn't here to train us, we're not dogs, but that to have this constant conversation, open forum type of thing. But what's the desired outcome that we want from what you're proposing? Because that will help us frame taking it any further. I don't,
I think one desired outcome is to be able to assess where are barriers that exist in our schools that are keeping all students that might be in some way part of a marginalized group from accessing the same experience that the other ones are having. So that's one piece of it that I felt was like emphasized at the training, and the figuring out, well, what do we at our school need to do is something that you have to have intimate knowledge of your school to really look at. But I can send you guys some self-assessment things that Dottie had said. They're not for elementary school, but it might be kind of a jumping off point of like, how do we look at this? But that's one thing that I think could be coming from this. And then also kind of like what it was in one of the 1% thingies here.
Those are the old ones.
The one from Ms. Wallier that was about, I feel like, is that where I read it? About how learning how to have difficult conversations with your class if you want to talk about something that's a challenging topic, and where to go with it. So there's
saw that
a
too.
curricular piece too that I was thinking this is the other one. I think that it was the one that was just from, oh no, here it is. This is it.
Right. So I think we need to, as a board, need to figure out what our goals are before we ask the administrators what we'd like them to look for, to work as.
Desired outcome.
Yes, I think we need to come up with a clear.
Okay.
I think we need to, I mean, that's just my opinion, we need to give them clear directions, not directions, but clear.
Well, direction is right.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the right word.
On that subject, I'd like to invoke once more, I think I did it in an earlier meeting or somewhere, the work and the film of Claire Oglesby. Is she familiar?
Yes, I think we talked about that at the meeting.
And to see that film, because what she does, and I think is what made her so remarkable, is every year she would spend a half a year in her classroom introducing another country, and she would immerse her kids in the culture, language, religion, economics, everything of another country for a whole half year. By the end of the year, the kids had come to feel a kinship with the foreign peoples. And that is what really builds, because now that can be transferred to people all over that are different. And that film that is out about her, it's called The World of Claire Oglesby's Classroom, or something like that.
The World in Claire's Classroom.
Right, The World in Claire Oglesby's Classroom. It's in the library, and it would be very insightful. It would help you along in thinking about this very subject.
So how do we go about identifying the desired outcome, or how should we?
I mean, I feel like the desired outcome is that we work to remove systemic inequities and that we bring a comfort level to the teachers to be able to have the conversations and learning topics with their students. Does that seem too confusing?
It seems a little broad,
like it's very broad.
Yeah,
it's very broad.
That is the outcome.
Yeah.
It's just really
Yes.
Even like Dottie's, I mean no disrespect, because I really liked her, she was great. But I left thinking, what was the desired outcome of that night? It was nice. There wasn't a lot of new learning for me. I've heard that content before. I may do the icebreaker activity that she started with a staff meeting, but you know, I think what we're looking for is something that has a direct correlation to our continuous improvement plans, building culture in our buildings, and really driving specific learning objectives with our staff. And that's what we do with our students too. So if you can frame it kind of like that, like a sort of overarching goal, a learning target, like what's by, you know, September of 2019, you would love us to do this one thing to build that culture in our building. That would be really helpful.
Okay, I will talk with some people and I'll come back with a more specific idea next meeting.
And I think we can do that, the same thing with the gender inclusive follow-up as well. I think we can coordinate both at the same time, and you know what we want to do, and then we can bring both back. Because a lot of what we're going to be doing with the diversity, we're going to want the same outcomes with the gender inclusive.
I mean, I think it's all part of the same thing.
Right.
It's not like it's not included in diversity.
No, but just because it's two different topics that we have on here.
Listed as two different items on the agenda.
So
the other difference is
if we're touching one, we're touching both.
The only actual difference is that there's already an organization in Vermont that's been, for years, has been providing this sort of support and background and training. Outright Vermont has been at it for a long time, and they've got all sorts of resources and training programs and workshops and students that come along and share experiences and activities. And
so The board members now
It's-
have
it's-
homework.
it's-
Okay.
So, we each have homework. All right, so just a quick reminder, it's now 5:07, so, and we still have a bunch to do.
Fast.
Yes. So new student enrollment transfer, was that what
That
we'd
was-
already talked about? Check, that's a great one. Esteyville Playground.
That is closed.
Okay.
The sign is up, so that's been taken care of.
Okay. Is there any type of action that we need to do, or, like, is Lyle going to be coming at some point? Are we for repairs and what the future
Yeah,
process
I
is for that?
imagine,
Okay.
because the early childhood special ed teachers are in that building.
Okay.
And there's really not a need for the playground,
Okay.
so I don't know if it would be a dismantling of that
Okay.
playground rather than a repairing it.
All right.
But at this point, it's not available to
Okay.
the neighborhood, to the children in the neighborhood.
The one right
I'll
by
keep my
the,
kids off of it.
Esteyville, not Canal Street.
SD.
Right,
It's very
thank you.
small.
Okay,
There's like
thank
a
you.
small
Yeah.
climbing gym, a
Yeah, I know
teeter totter, and
yeah,
then
I
this
go by
one's
it all
it.
the time, yeah.
All right. All right.
Mhm.
Act 250 Impact Questionnaire.
That typically means that there's some development going on that may bring children into the community and
Oh,
will
yes.
hurt
There we go.
us.
All
I
right.
do have it, yeah.
I'm like, I know I don't have
just-
it.
No, you didn't have it. I did, I just gotta remember numbers. Actually, it ended up that it's fine, there's not gonna be an impact.
Okay.
It's the Red Clover Commons project.
The senior
And-
housing?
Yes,
Yeah.
senior housing,
Oh, they're expanding, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, existing parking lot, yeah, but there wasn't an issue with it as far as it impacting the schools.
All right. Check.
Unless we open senior centers in the buildings.
Yes. All right. Uses of town endowments.
Okay, so I have the answer to that one too, and it sort of goes along also with the I. Is that right? They're both sort of the same?
Yes, the
Yeah.
money manager,
Okay,
yes.
all right. So Lyle looked into it, I guess, with the lawyer, and those endowments cannot be merged. The town endowments have to stay the town endowments, and ours has to stay ours. So they are not able to be merged. And there's three pieces of their endowment, and each one of those have specific requirements. So they can't just be used for anything, but
Right.
each piece has to be used specifically for whatever that money was originally granted for.
You're talking about the ones that the town owns.
The one
Yes.
that the town owns, yep, yeah.
And do you have those, the list of those requirements?
Actually, that's the one paper I did not
Well,
pick
that's
up.
the one we were
It's-
looking for.
Well, those are in the books that we get when we have the town meeting. I know they're listed in that, 3.
The town's, the endowment
Yeah.
grants and the
Yeah.
purposes?
Well, the 3 that the town runs are in.
Just make sure she.
Right, right. Yeah. Okay, well, we can look it up then.
Yeah.
I thought we wanted to know what those, what they could be, I wanted to know what they could be used for, but they're, we
Yes,
can look it
and I
up.
apologize, I just didn't grab that one piece of paper. Yeah.
Great.
Let me just see if Barb happened to put it in here. No. No, okay.
All right. So we'll have, if Lyle can bring that the
Yeah.
next time.
Okay. And then she had said that, we have to engage with the money manager then to figure out how we'll use that money.
So we are going to invest the school board-owned endowments in a more aggressive manner. Is that, do we decide that? Or should we, are we deciding
We can look in the
now?
minutes, but I think we needed to warn that we were going to engage a manager for those funds so that we could vote on it.
Is that what's,
This is
we're
not
going to
a
vote on
warning.
it now?
I don't, no, this is just, I don't think this is a warning.
Okay.
Okay, no, I thought it had to be on the agenda so that we could talk
Okay.
about it and
Okay, then,
and make a motion
okay.
if we need to.
But
But I don't have
are
that.
we able to make a motion on that based on this agenda?
if it's, yes,
Okay.
it's listed in the agenda, so
Okay.
yes, it's not,
So I move that we do engage a money manager for the Brattleboro Town School Endowment.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Should that come with some amount limits?
I think the thought was we would engage the person, try to engage the person who's handling.
The Brattleboro Town School Endowment, that Jill.
Yeah, through us.
Yes.
Yeah, who's already doing it.
Yes.
Through the SU or through the high school board. And
Not Jill's group.
Not Jill's group.
The one that manages the high schools.
Okay.
yeah. So the thought was to get the person that's managing the high school part of it to look at ours. The idea is to get it invested in a better earning instrument.
So we're looking to get this done for free. And if we can't, then we'll look at it again and see if we can allocate some money.
I think we're going to have to allocate some money. We just have no idea.
Oh, we don't know how much yet.
But we needed to look into engaging the person. We had to make this motion, and we couldn't make it last week because it wasn't on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Our last meeting.
Okay.
I hope I'm remembering that right.
So do we want to revise the motion, just clarifying which money manager that we were going to be going with, the same, wanted to look at the same money manager as the high school, or?
I think we should
just,
leave it,
okay,
leave it off and
find the best person.
okay. Can figure out what to do.
Right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Established date of reporting why families leave town schools for other schools in the area.
So I think when we were talking about this last time, I can't remember if I said the beginning of the school year or the ending of the school year. What do you guys feel like is the right time to have that discussion?
So what does that mean? Does that mean like a report out of how many kids left and what the reasons were, why they left?
Yeah, right?
I think it was really specific to students that went to other schools.
Well, we wanted to make it
So an
only like
analysis-
a once or twice a year because we don't want to talk about specific people.
Yes.
Comparing kids who've left private schools and come to public
Right.
schools versus kids who've left public schools and gone to private schools.
And
Well, we
and
don't
I think
even
it's
have the
because-
people who left the private schools and came to public on this item, although that would be very interesting to know too.
We've shared that.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's because we can't put that detail on the administrative reports anymore, so I think we wanted to
So I think that'd be
track it
end of
some
the
way.
school year.
Okay.
End
I
of the
think
school
that's
year.
better. Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. So let's, just to get it clear, I make a motion that we ask the administrators to present at the end of the school year a report on why families leave town schools for other schools in the area. The number and the reasons that they give.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yes, and why they come.
Yeah.
We do have.
Mhm. Yep. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or further questions on it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I mean, and it should be fairly, if we
Yeah.
just track it as we
A
go, and then
spreadsheet.
it's a nice, easy at the end of the year. All right, parent surveys.
So we typically do those parent surveys during the November parent conferences.
Okay.
I think we wanted to talk, the question was about the small number that are returned, and
That's what the
do we
thing was
want to
about.
think about maybe making them shorter or being really much more targeted in the questions so that we get a higher return, or think of other ways to get a higher return?
I think that Mark had a really good strategy, and I don't
What was
feel
it?
like, as a parent, that the problem is that they're too long. It's just that you're like frazzled, basically. And so when he said they had like a doorway greeter that was like, here, could you give me your survey, on the way out, stopping people before they exited the building.
Yeah.
And I feel like that seems a really easy, and it seemed very effective. Your returns seem to be pretty good
Yeah.
compared to other
Your
years.
return is like 46%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's way better than 17, but still, it's not, we kind of talked about this in the past, and people didn't necessarily support my perspective, but I still maintain that numbers that low are not really valid data, and we really can't draw any conclusions from that.
Well, I'd have to look back on my percentage. I think it's higher than 46. It's a pretty significant look at the school, in my opinion, the data that we've collected the past 2 years. We've tried many things. It's worked the best in my experience in terms of having somebody not just hand the survey and ask them to please do it, but to then provide them a time before they leave. Just take a couple minutes, grab a cookie, grab a coffee. Please take this, it's important to us. Having that, that personal connection, giving the reason why we want the feedback.
So how about if we authorize the principals to hire or employ somebody, or if it could be seen as a duty or something like some other way, but to find someone to do that, to sit and do what Mark did.
I don't feel like they need us to authorize them to do it, but it just seemed like the moment to share strategies.
And I think each school should, have their own system to do it. But I think what your motion could be is to really emphasize increasing the percentages of rates of return.
Well,
so if each school had a
I think that's fine. I just want to point out that you just described your experience and what we would call a best practice. And what I'm asking is for the other schools to try that best practice so that we have data after this year's parent surveys to see if that's effective, if we're getting a higher return or not.
David, there's no argument on my side, and I don't think with anybody here, that when we look at our low turnout, that we feel as though it's invalid. It's like, oh, it's great that we have, that everybody thinks that we're wonderful, but it's really invalid because we have such a low turnout. We have tried Mark's Way. We have tried to send them home. We set it up electronically where, we've done the baskets, like, here's a raffle ticket, here, you win a prize if you do this. It's not like we're not trying. And so our parent liaison and our parent events committee, that's what we're talking about. That's what we've already met twice this year already, and that's what we're talking about, like what strategies are we going to try to employ. So we're always trying new things, and I wouldn't say, it's working for Green Street, and I'm hoping that it works for Oak Grove and different things that we're doing. But we are fully aware that our numbers don't really, give a true perspective of our school. And I don't like that because I want to know, it's usually the people that either have something, think you're wonderful and everything's great, are going to take time to do it, or it's like, then you have a couple in there that are like, oh, I'm really mad, and I'm going to throw those in there too. So we're looking for something larger, and I think the way that we do it during conference time, but conferences are not like they were in my experience at the middle school where, it's like they're coming in and they're like within a big chunk of time. We have teachers that are scheduling their conferences sometimes over, 2 weeks because you're trying to accommodate family schedules. And so you can't for 2 weeks every afternoon have somebody standing there, after school. So we're working on it and we're hoping to, have an improvement this year. That's our goal. So
I think that seems like a good goal if we could just say, like, we encourage the administrators to find a creative way to exceed last year's return on the parent surveys. And what might be the right strategy for one school may not be the one for all of them, but
because simple building structure plays in hand as well. You come into Green Street, there's this big opening, and the library's right there. That's where parents go every morning. That's like the place they go. It's different. You get to Academy, you can go right, left, and there's other hallways, and people can sneak out of here before they get out the front door.
Yeah, I had forgotten that. I know that we make sure to try to get every single parent, and I didn't realize I'd forgotten that it happens over a long period of time. It still had the model of everybody comes in that night and goes out that night. So I would suggest that you, do exactly what Robin said and see if we can do better. I would encourage you to try and reduce the number of questions so it's people can kind of try and focus it on the real things you want to know most, that are most important to know. Or maybe we should provide some guidance on what's, since we're the ones that are responsible to know what the community wants, maybe we should provide some direction on what the questions are.
I don't feel like it takes very long to fill it out, though. I think it's more the thing of bring this piece of paper back is the missing part of it here.
Yes, I mean, I know as a parent, it's not always easy to remember to bring it back, and barring sitting,
You're
you
walking
need to
out of the
return this,
building
then
with
we'll
a
give your
bunch of
child,
crazy
give you your
kids who
child's
wanna go to the
grades, we
playground.
can't do that, so.
It's like
I mean,
shorter,
it's
you
literally
can fill it
like-
out and leave it.
It's literally like
Right.
checking 10
That
boxes.
is what they
and
tell
if
you to
wanna
do,
leave
David.
comments,
Yes,
great.
That's what they want you to do,
Yes.
yes.
And it's
I mean-
still easy to walk out with it, because you know, if you're getting a whole bunch of papers,
I will
you
admit,
put it in
last
there and you
year,
forget about it.
I brought mine back and it was like 3 weeks after the thing and I found it. I'm like, oh yeah, this important thing. And I'm like, of all people that should have the awareness that like fill it out at the time and just give it to you.
It's not very anonymous.
Life is very distracting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be anonymous, so it doesn't feel very anonymous to me anyway, where if I'm standing there or one of my staff members is standing there and saying, oh, can I have yours? And so they're walking, they're handing it to me, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're gone, and I'm gonna look, you know, it's like we can, it's not very anonymous if you're handing it to somebody as opposed to paper, possibly putting it in a box. That's why I liked it when it was electronic. Last year it wasn't offered electronically. I'm hoping that we can get it set up electronically. I just think it's a little bit.
I will say, as a
Everybody has a
parent, I wonder if it might be worth engaging the energy of the PTOs around this, just to tell the other parents, this is important, here's why, this is what the school's doing with it, because I feel like there's so many pieces of paper you get as a parent, and it's, I think a lot of people just don't realize how much the school cares about their opinions on it. But maybe if you could, just one thought, you know, might not work for every school, but if each PTO person made a commitment to tell like 10 parents, hey, make sure you turn those surveys in that they give out at the conferences, it's super important, and let's all make a pact to do it, you know. Part of this has to come from the parents deciding to fill out the paper, you know, at the bottom line of it.
Right.
Has it ever been done as a survey monkey?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Because that seems like that'd be so easy, yeah.
And the questions are, I mean, the one survey is a district, you know, it's a district survey.
Everybody uses the same one?
Everyone uses the same thing, and it helps us to then do some comparison over the years, so we're not changing the questions all the time, so we can see some longevity. We can do some comparison with in Brattleboro, you know, the outlying schools, stuff like that. So if we're going to change questions, we can add questions. According to Paul Smith, he's like, we can always add more questions, but if to eliminate, he kind of frowns on eliminating anything, but we could go back to admin, I suppose, or, you know, leadership team. And if there's certain areas that we want to, you know, eliminate, or if you thought that looking at the survey, it's like, wow, there are a lot that seem redundant.
Well, it's been 19 years since I studied and had to be an expert in this area, but I remember very clearly that the best advice was to use as few questions as possible and to really focus on the information that's most essential to you. And maybe that's different now, but
No,
let's try it and
it's
see.
very, very accurate.
We'll try harder. Okay.
All right. Enrollment number by grade classroom. Do we know what?
I thought we were going to get a, like we
I
did
saw,
last year.
I saw Mark had it on his
Okay,
report,
yes, but-
on the bottom of his report, his monthly report. It was there.
It's supposed to be on our monthly report?
You have a big class,
No.
Kelsey.
I don't know.
I do.
All right, so why don't we table that and we can do it, because
Are you looking for that on a month, like?
No, just once. It's October. That's when you send the numbers in, just so we can compare year to
Yeah.
Throw
year.
it on there.
So, yeah,
Great.
so if Jerry and Kelly can just bring it to the next meeting,
Great.
we'll put that on there. All right.
Should you put that in the minutes, please, so I remember? Thank you.
Yep. All right. WSESU policy F24, firearms and dangerous or deadly weapons review.
I think that you were sent this, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the outcome is that it was presented for a second reading Homes that are within 1,000 feet, it was reconciled that there would not be an issue with the homeowner with a firearm in their home. They would just not be allowed on school grounds. So, and I don't know if there's other questions about that, but.
I think some of the people at the WSESU meeting about this were having questions about it. And so we were asked to all bring it back to our individual boards and see if there's any thoughts or feelings on this. But basically, to what I understood the question to be was about those people whose property is within 1,000 feet of the school grounds. Is it fair to limit their transport of firearms out of their house and into their house? And does it apply to them, or should we put some language around that? That's what the detail was about.
And it's also with hunters, if, you know, because you're allowed to have them in your car if they drive by a school. They are now
driving by the school.
They are now within 1,000 yards of the school.
Right.
Yeah, with weapons.
Well, I think that when you're coming to the point of dropping the kids off, then I feel like that's not what the question was about, because then you're intentionally coming onto the school property. You know that you are within 1,000 feet of a school because that's what you're coming to, the school. It was more about, would this apply to people that were driving past within that 1,000-foot zone?
Right.
So do we need to put language in there that excludes that? I mean, personally, my thinking is that no one is going to be prosecuting something like that or even noticing it. So I didn't personally feel like the language needs to be changed, but if anyone else on the board does, this is the time when we are supposed to be discussing this.
I think if somebody's driving by with weapons in their car, if they're going hunting or something, and they're within 1,000 feet of the school, I think there shouldn't be any way that they could be stopped in that process, right, or in that action. It's totally unrelated to the school, and it's not on the school property. It's on the public highways. We would be sued multiple times if anybody ever got stopped for that.
Right, but why would we be stopping people for that?
I have no idea. But if it's in the law, it can be challenged and you can be sued.
So maybe it would make sense to put language in there that just says this excludes cars that are driving by on a public road, or people who are bringing firearms into or out of their personal home that's within the 1,000-foot zone.
Well, unless you just take out that 1,000-foot distance and just leave it as
school property.
Possess a firearm on the grounds of a public school. Period.
I think that's the only thing we really can do. I think it makes sense. It's within our power.
Well, I don't know, Marissa, if you are informed on this, but I would be interested to know, why was the 1,000-foot distance put into the policy in the first place? Because this was a specific policy that was designed after it was found that we did not have a policy as a SU, and there was an incident at the Putney Elementary School with someone bringing a gun. And so I think they put the 1,000 feet in there for a reason, and I don't remember what it is, but I think it might be good to know that before deciding that we don't see value in it.
Yeah. And just because we are on camera, just so that they were legally allowed to have.
Right.
No one
broke the law.
Yes, nobody broke the law.
But that's why they were like, let's make a law so that isn't
or make a
allowed
policy
specifically.
Make a policy. Yes.
Right. It was completely within the current laws to bring a firearm onto the playground of the public elementary school. So that's why this policy is being developed.
And I don't know why the 1,000 was determined.
Yeah. So, but I feel like that's been talked about at the SU meetings, and now I'm just blanking on what was the point of the 1,000 thing.
So
I think it might be.
We can ask that question.
You can do it by email or something, so we'd have the information. We can put it together.
So if you could ask, that would be great. Thank you. Did anybody else have anything else on that policy then? Okay. All right. So VSBA resolutions review.
Well, I have a question about two questions, or two thoughts on this. One is that this is the first time we've ever been asked as a board to review the resolutions of the VSBA. When I was on when I was the regional rep for 5 years, we never once talked about the resolutions at the school board level. So I'm not sure why we are now, but people can, obviously, if you want.
No,
But the other thing that's changed is that the VSBA no longer recognizes us as a body. We are part of the SU. The SU is the member of the VSBA. The SU has one vote. We have none.
Correct.
So the only way we would have any influence on this at all is to go to the meeting and vote at the business meeting in the middle of October.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm happy to go over and look through them, but I don't see how, I mean, we've never done it before, and I'm not sure I'm going to take the time to do it.
No.
And having looked through them, I don't see anything particularly earth-shaking among them.
Anybody else have any thoughts about?
There are also like 19 of them, right?
I think so. That's a lot. All right. All right, well, skipping that then, or going past that. Next agenda items. So I have the EES leave requests in September. I have back on here enrollment numbers by grade, classroom.
We've got, in the parking lot for the last meeting, the leadership councils to bring ideas for makeup and design of leadership councils. I think we should try to set some time aside for that next time.
Okay, so.
I'll do my report next week. Also,
okay.
Nothing is going to change between now and then.
Okay, perfect.
We also had a report on the teacher leader program and budget needs in each school. These were in the parking lot, and some of them can stay there. They don't have to be on next week's agenda, but they need to keep coming up. And actually, Kelsey, would you put them in the parking lot for now, unless we say, like, with leadership team councils, we want to talk about that next week. The
or actually 2 weeks, not next week.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just go to a meeting every week. So
Yeah, that's
next week.
Yeah.
The next time.
They just run together.
David.
Councils.
Can you clarify, like, which items you'd like me to put in the parking lot versus next week?
Yeah, the report on the teacher leader program and budget needs, that can be along when we do the budget.
Okay.
I think, it seems to me.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
like a budget item.
Yeah. Integrated field review follow-up, and leave that for a while too. It's not really pressing. I just want to keep looking at it because I don't want it to do it now because it's not on our agenda. More community engagement. How do we do more of that? Do you want to talk more about that? I want to keep it here. I want to keep it in front of us.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on the next agenda. But
so that would be a parking lot.
We did step one. We provided childcare tonight, although I do not think anyone came to take advantage of it. But I think there's a good chance that they will at the next meeting because that's the academy one, and I think a lot of parents would be really interested in attending and hearing about all the stuff that's going on here. So
especially if
Emily will be back next time, and hopefully we can spread the word to people that are interested in that.
Can I ask one quick thing before you move on? Last, or maybe a couple meetings ago, when we were talking about the school-focused nights, you brought up that you'd like to hear about some specific items and that you would get us a list. And we've already put a lot of significant time into planning our academy night, but I wanted to see if you had a list of things, or I can't remember who did, but or if maybe just in the next couple of days, if you think of anything really specific that you'd like to know, could you send them along so I can make sure it's included?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
The only other one is, well, we added one tonight, maybe having some of the pre-K community providers come and tell us about what they do.
Yes.
But again, that's
I think that's one where we want to have maybe a presentation or something.
Yeah.
And we can look to see what where we could put that in the schedule.
And the other was the progress of individual students receiving early intervention educational support services. Continuing to talk about how can we see what happens over time.
Right. That was something that it seemed like it wasn't currently tracked in the data that we receive of like the individual person. And sometimes they give like case studies of like, here's what happened with this kid. But it would, I don't know if that's like showable in a data form of like all the kids and where they went and the subsequent grades.
We did include that. I remembered you asking.
So So those are things that we mentioned at the last meeting that we wanted to get to, and then things tend to just kind of dissipate over time, but I think these are things that we do want to follow up on. And if we get to the point where it's been there for 2.5 months and can't even remember where it was, we can let it go.
Well, I will come back with something specific to say about a goal or a proposal for that
yes.
diversity and gender
yes, we're gonna,
inclusion
yep.
thing. So
I'm going to
that
put the
on
follow-up on. All right. All right, so we do need to go into executive session. I'm going to apologize because I do not have the exact terminology, what we need to, but it is for, a student matter, so we do need to.
Personnel or?
Yes, it's not personnel, but yes, we do need to go into executive session,
Okay.
so.
I move that we enter executive session to talk about a matter of student need. We'll do that.
Confidential matter.
Yeah, student confidential matter. Do we have a second? Spoon. All right, all approved, in favor? Aye.
Okay.
So we're going to rise from executive session. It's 7:45, and just need a motion.
I move that we accept the staff adjustment as proposed.
Second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. So if you can, would you be able to email that to Kelsey? We need to send her any. Yeah.
Adjust the staff.
You were looking at
Make the staff.
Robin, right?
I was looking at the person who
wrote
did it, but yes.
I just thought I'd pull my
right.
phone out.
So, anything else? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. 7:45 for both of them.